All right. Hi, guys. Thank you for being here. I'm Dr. Carmen Calleja, and we're going to talk about your post-op nutrition or post-op lifestyle. So it is very important that we understand this as a lifestyle change or a way that we are going to create better habits around our health and not so much as a diet. I know that you guys are going to read a lot online about post-op diets and meal plans, and maybe you'll see a lot of menus. But what's most important here is that you understand how the surgery works, how health works, how your body is different now, so that we don't go back to these diets, which we know that, well, they're not something sustainable, or they're not something that will help you create a better relationship with your health. How many of you here have ever been on a low-calorie diet? Okay, so everybody, right? You guys know how effective they are, right? They're not as much. So this is what usually happens when we go on a low-calorie diet. This is why, so I want to explain this to you so that you understand that this is definitely not how the surgery works. Usually when you go on a low-calorie diet, you eat less, you move more so that you can create a negative energy balance, and this negative energy balance is going to help you lose the weight, right? So maybe a few weeks go by and everything is fine, you're losing the weight. Maybe a few months go by and everything is fine, but then all of a sudden you plateau on your weight loss. Has anybody experienced this? So usually when this happens, it's because your body notices that you're not receiving the same amount of energy that it was before. Your energy output is a lot higher, and that's why your energy expenditure decreases. Your energy expenditure is the amount of calories that your body burns while you are at rest. So when this happens, you stop losing weight. So another thing that can happen too is that your hormones that regulate hunger and satiety, they also start working in a way where they want you to get more energy, and that's why you start feeling like you need to eat larger portions of food, or you need to eat more often. Has anybody ever experienced this? A few weeks into your diet and you feel like you're hungrier or you're less satisfied with the amount of food that you're eating. And this is due to changes in your hormones. Another thing that happens too is that your brain also starts working in a way where it wants you to get more energy in through calories. And that's why you start craving all of these foods that are high in calories. So maybe you've noticed that a few weeks into your diet and you start craving ice cream, or you start craving potato chips. So this is another way of your body wanting you to get more energy in. So this is why most diets do not work, because your body changes the way it regulates hunger, appetite, and its energy expenditure in a way where they want you to go back to the energy balance that you had before. So this is important that you know, because with surgical treatment, it's very different to this. It's not just a small stomach that holds a small amount of food. I know that many people will describe it that way. You know, you have a small stomach and it sounds logical. So you're eating less, and because you're eating less, it's less calories. Less calories means less weight. Less weight means better metabolic health. But this is not exactly how surgery works. When the anatomy of your gastrointestinal tract is rearranged, there's a lot of things that change in your body. That it's not just that you're eating less, but your microbiome changes, your hormones change, your response to inflammation changes, your glucose regulation changes. So there's a lot of things that are kind of reset, or a lot of systems that are reset in your body that will help you have better metabolic health the day after your surgery. So if you have type 2 diabetes, any of you here that have type 2 diabetes, you guys know that a day after your surgery, your blood sugar is controlled, and you haven't even lost weight yet. So this is because all of the changes that your body is going through that are going to help you with your metabolic health. So this is important that you know, because all of the habits, or all of these changes that you do in your eating habits or in your health habits in general, have to be focused on maintaining this state of health that you have right now, not on losing weight. If you've been through other treatments for obesity, you guys know that it's always about the weight loss and it's always about the number on the scale. And maybe you measure your success just by the number of pounds that you lose. But right now, the weight that you lose is the last thing that has to be on your mind. What you really need to focus on is not losing nutrients and preserving muscle mass, because that's what's going to help you maintain this state of metabolic health that your body has acquired. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like we're pushing a reset button on your body. So if we're pushing a reset button, we need to reprogram, okay? Not go back to that idea that I need to eat low calorie, low fat, low carb, low sugar, but high in nutrients, and making sure that everything that I do is going to help me be strong and healthy and not just thin. So these are some of the changes that you are going to notice that are going to help you make better choices. This is really all about making or learning how to make better choices, better decisions in your eating habits, so that these decisions will become habits, and these habits will eventually become a lifestyle. We really want to make sure that we make a healthy lifestyle out of this and not just a low-calorie eating pattern, okay? So you're going to notice that your hunger and your satiety signals are going to be a lot different now. So I don't know if you guys have heard that when you have the sleeve gastrectomy, the part of your stomach that produces the hunger hormone is removed, and that's why you don't feel hungry anymore. Have you heard that? Well, it's not 100% true. Your hunger hormones do change, but they change in a way where hunger becomes a lot more noticeable. So it's not that you're not going to feel hungry. It's more like you're going to feel hungry when you need to eat. You're going to feel hungry when your body needs to have, food. So this is why it's very important that you pay attention to everything that you are feeling, so that you can understand when you need to start eating and when you need to stop eating. Your satiety signals also come from your hormone, from changes in your hormones, not so much from having a small stomach. If we were just relying on a small stomach to eat less, you'd come to a point where your body would tell you, I'm too full, I can't eat another bite. But you will come to a point where your body is going to tell you, I'm satisfied, I don't need to eat another bite. So this signaling comes from changes in your hormones, not from a tiny stomach. But it's very important that you really tune into what your body is telling you, so that you can identify when you need to start eating, when you need to stop eating, and what your portions are. That's why I don't like following specific menus or meal plans, or just general meal plans for everyone, because usually when you're following a diet or when you're following a meal plan, you're going to see at 8 a.m. I need to eat this amount, at noon I need to eat this amount, at night I need to eat this amount, and everybody is different. Everybody has different schedules, everybody has different needs, different preferences. So you have to eat according to what your body is going to be asking for, not to what a piece of paper says. So it's just very important that you understand how the surgery is working, so that you can identify your portion sizes. Also, your food preferences are going to change. I don't know if you guys noticed this already, but maybe your smell and your taste buds already started changing. Probably if you drink something sweet right now, you're going to feel like it's too sweet. Maybe certain smells are different too. Maybe if you drink something salty, it's going to be too salty. All of these hyperpalatable flavors become a little bit overwhelming for the first few months after your surgery. So it is also kind of a way of your body asking you to stick to foods that are going to nourish you, whole foods, fresh foods, foods that provide you with nutrients, not just foods that are low calorie, low carb, low sugar. Usually we buy a lot of these products thinking that they're good for us just because they say 0 sugar, 0 carbs, 0 calories, but we're not actually getting all of the nutrients that we need from whole foods. So it is very important that we focus on these foods, and you will notice that your preference for these foods are going to be a lot, you're going to feel like you're going to be more inclined to eat these foods that will provide you with nutrients. Anybody here that came as a companion already had the procedure done? All right. So you guys, I don't know if you guys noticed that you started, I don't know if you all of a sudden started craving fresh fruits or fresh vegetables, or you started craving healthier foods in general. So this is because because of changes in your brain, changes in your food preferences, not because you have a small stomach, okay? So it is very important that you pay attention to all of these changes that your body is going through so that you can create an environment around these new food preferences and that they can become habits. So another thing that changes is the reward center in your brain. This is because this is also due to the surgery, but one of the things that you will notice is that your preferences are going to change, but also maybe some of these high calorie foods are not going to be as attractive anymore. They're not going to be as interesting anymore. So pay attention to all of this so that you can create an eating pattern around what you like and all of your preferences. So like I said, this is really a lifestyle that you have to create. It's not just, you know, eating low calorie or eating tiny portions. It's really about having all of this in balance, making sure that the food that you eat is high in nutrients, because we know that because of the surgery, you're not only eating less, there's also malabsorption of certain nutrients. So you have to make sure that everything that you eat is going to nourish you. The type of exercise that you do, your sleep patterns, your stress resilience, everything that you put into your body, you really have to pay attention to that too, so that you can have a healthy lifestyle. And more important than weight loss is your body composition. Again, if you've been through other treatments for obesity, it's always about the weight loss and it's always about the pounds. But now you really have to focus on preserving muscle mass. Body composition has to be your #1 priority, because after the surgery, your energy expenditure is going to be increased. Kind of like what I said in the beginning, when your body, when you go on a low calorie diet, that your energy expenditure decreases. Well, now it's going to be increased. All of you here know at least one person that has had surgery in the past, right? And you've all noticed that the weight loss is very fast and it's very constant for the first year. This is because your energy expenditure is elevated. So basically, or to say it in a very simple way, everything that you are eating for the first year, you're going to burn immediately. So you do not need to worry about the calories. You need to worry about the nutrients. You need to worry about maintaining muscle mass. So body composition is very important. Changing health behaviors that you know that you need to change, and also creating an environment of health. What you have in your pantry, what you buy at the supermarket, what you have in your refrigerator, what you take to your work as a snack, all of this has a huge influence on what you decide to eat, because sometimes we have in our head, you know, oh, I'm going to eat this, or I'm going to have this very healthy snack. But if what I have around me is not that, then my choices are going to be limited. So it's very important that you create an environment of health around you also. And health literacy, the more you know, the better decisions you're going to make. Okay, so learning about health, learning about food. We do have some classes on our YouTube channel where I talk specifically about foods that are going to be more nourishing after surgery. We are working on a lot more resources right now for that. But it is important that you choose your foods correctly and that you learn about your food so that you can make choices that are going to be habits that will become a lifestyle. So as far as exercise or movement, there's two things that you have to keep in mind. One is preserving muscle mass. We talked about that. So you've been carrying around this weight for the past few years, and your body is already used to this weight. You have a certain strength, or your muscles have a certain strength because of this weight that you are carrying. When you lose the weight very fast, which you will because your energy expenditure is elevated, if you lose this weight, if you don't compensate with resistance training or any type of exercise that helps you build muscle, you are going to lose muscle mass. And your metabolic health and your metabolic rate depend on your muscle mass. So you really have to make sure that everything that you do as far as exercise is focused on preserving muscle mass so that you don't have weight regain. The #1 cause of weight regain after bariatric surgery is muscle loss. So this has to be one of your main priorities, preserving muscle mass. Another thing is moving. We know that a sedentary lifestyle, everybody knows that a sedentary lifestyle is not good for your heart. So it is important that you just focus on having a lifestyle that has more physical activity every day. So something that you can keep in mind always is just move more than yesterday. Sometimes we set really big goals. We think, oh, tomorrow I'm going to go to the gym and, 1 hour, I'm going to run for 1 hour. But if that's not something that is within your schedule, that's not something that you're normally doing, then it's probably not going to be easy for it to become a habit. But if you are thinking, I need to move more today than yesterday, then maybe today you'll just take 100 more steps than you did yesterday. You'll sit maybe 20 minutes less than you were sitting yesterday, and this is how you're going to maintain an active lifestyle. So an active lifestyle and building muscle, those have to be your main or a priority as far as movement. Another thing that I like to recommend a lot is yoga, because it's not just because of the physical part, but also because you are moving and you're meditating and you're breathing at the same time. It gives you a lot of body awareness. So this body awareness is going to help you notice all of these changes that your body is going to be going through, and it's going to help you make better choices too. Anybody here is into yoga? No? We usually have a few yogis in the group. Well, if you've been curious about it, I really recommend that you look into it, because it is a wonderful tool for health, not just for the weight loss, but in general, it does help you make better choices. Another thing that I want to get into detail is toxic substances. All of these substances that we put into our bodies, or many times we think that they're harmless, or we do it mindlessly. Alcohol, for example, certain drugs, tobacco, but you have to understand that now your anatomy is different, and the way that your body is going to be absorbing many of these substances is going to be very different from how they were before the surgery, specifically alcohol. I really want to talk about that, because I do hear a lot of people will ask, when can I start drinking again? And then you'll see recommendations like, 6 months after surgery or 9 months after surgery. And my recommendation is that you just try to stay away from alcohol as much as you can. It's very important that alcohol absorbs in your stomach, and a large part of your stomach was removed, that. So this means that the absorption area for alcohol is very small now, and alcohol is going to absorb very fast. So that means, number one, that you can get drunk with a very small amount of alcohol. Another thing is that you can get a DUI with a very small amount of alcohol, because your alcohol blood volume is going to go up with a very small amount. And another thing that is very important is that you can become addicted or dependent on alcohol if you are drinking alcohol regularly, just because you're going to be absorbing it a lot differently now. Sometimes we don't think about this. We'll have a beer after work every day, or a glass of wine with dinner every day, and it's really not a problem if your stomach is complete. But now your anatomy is completely different. The way that your body is absorbing alcohol is completely different. So my recommendation would be, do not go back to those habits. If you are one of those people that will drink alcohol regularly and you think it's harmless, I do recommend that you do not go back to that. If you have a drink here and there, once a month, that's fine. But be very, very mindful about your alcohol intake. Another thing that sometimes we don't consider to be toxic are all of these ultra-processed products, or all of these foods that are not really foods, that they're just a bunch of industrialized ingredients put together to make products, especially all of those that have artificial sweeteners. Be very careful with these, because they don't provide any type of nutrition for us. Okay, so it's really not about the calories anymore. Sometimes, again, we decide what to eat because, this just has 10 grams of sugar, so it must be good for me. But now you really have to make sure that you are paying attention to what type of benefit it's providing for your health. So you have a very small stomach. It's going to hold a very small amount of food. You have to make sure that every single bite that you are putting into your mouth is going to nourish you, or it's going to provide some type of health benefit. So energy, of course, that's very important. A lot of these foods that we eat, we just think about the number of the calories, and it is important, how much energy it's giving us, but also the nutrients you know, vitamins, minerals, especially all of these plant foods. I do recommend that you stick to that because those are the ones that are going to provide a wider variety of nutrients. But also think about, how is this giving me joy? How is this giving me pleasure? How is this connecting me with my family or connecting me to my heritage? Be very mindful about what you are eating. You know, always think, how is this benefiting my health? Maybe that slice of cake at your son's birthday is not something that is the most nutritious food, but it is something that is going to connect you to your son. It's something that is going to be a fun, you know, it's something that is giving you certain benefits. So always just be very mindful about what you are eating and think, you know, how is this contributing to my health? The more processes your food goes through, the less nutritious it's going to be. It's always better to stick to whole foods, unprocessed foods. But if it's something that you are not used to, or you feel that you are not ready to just be on or just eat these type of foods, it's very important that you read the ingredients of all the products that you buy. It's probably even a good idea, if you go back home, that you go to your pantry, look at all the products that you have and read the ingredients, just so you know what you are putting into your body. It's very important that we know what is going into our bodies now. Your body is going to react very differently to everything. So read the ingredients of everything that you eat. Keep in mind that the more whole, the better, okay? So with all of that in mind, now we're going to talk about the post-op diet. Like I said, I don't like talking specifically about diets, but this is a diet that you have to follow very strictly. It's for the first 6 weeks approximately, and this is because we need to avoid certain complications. You just had major surgery, so you do need to follow a specific eating pattern. And this is basically a transition from clear liquids to solids in a period of about 4 to 6 weeks approximately. And it's 4 stages. Each stage is approximately 1 week long. It could be a little bit more than a week, but not less, okay? So if you feel that you're not ready to go on to the next phase, wait a little bit more, that's fine. So this first phase is clear liquids. You probably already noticed that you are drinking very small amounts of liquid, right? So one of the things that we have to focus on is hydration. You have to make sure that you are well hydrated this first week, that you're drinking very small amounts, and try to find the liquids that you can drink the most of, okay? So there are 2 things that are going to determine how much you can drink. One is the temperature. Some of you notice that you can tolerate cold fluids a little bit better than warm fluids. Others room temperature. So this is going to be different for everyone. Try to find the temperature that agrees with you the most and try to stick to that. Another thing is the density. Some of you are going to find it a little bit difficult to drink just plain water. I don't know if anybody is having trouble with that. So maybe if you try infused water, that's going to be a little bit better. Maybe if you try electrolyte water, that's going to be a little bit better because the density is a little bit different. So try to find what agrees with you the most so that you can drink as much as you can. So hydration is very important. Another thing that is important that you focus on this week is recovery. So there are certain foods that are going to provide with a little bit more nutritional value that can help you recover a little bit faster, or that can contribute to healing a little bit better. One of those foods is bone broth. If you've had surgery in the past, you've probably been recommended to drink bone broth. And this is because of the gelatin. It does have it's good for gut health, and it also helps with recovery. So bone broth is a process where you have to boil the bones for like 10 to 12 hours. Has anybody here ever made bone broth? It's a pretty long process. You have to wait for the gelatin to come out of the bone. So if you don't want to go through all of this process, another type of broth that I do recommend that is also very nutritious and that can help with recovery is bean broth or lentil broth or chickpea broth. These also have prebiotics. They also have a little bit of fiber, and they do help with healing. So those would be the broths that I would recommend first. But if you just want to have vegetable broth or chicken broth or any other type of broth, that's perfectly fine. I do recommend that you make them yourself. And I also recommend that you make them as delicious as possible. So add onions, herbs, spices, make them very tasty, make them very enjoyable so that you can enjoy this, everything, since day one, all of your food journey. So another food that is usually recommended for recovery is Jello. I don't know if any of you have had other surgeries in the past, but you've probably also been recommended to eat Jello, or they always give you Jello at the hospital. So the reason is because of the gelatin also. My recommendation is that you buy unflavored gelatin and that you make your own juices so that you can make your own Jello. So if you have a juicer at home, you can juice whatever you want. I do recommend that you stay away from tomatoes and citrus because these can produce a little bit of acid, so they can be uncomfortable. But other than that, you can juice whatever you want and make your own Jello. So it's the same process as if you were doing the flavored gelatin, but instead of boiling the water and adding the flavored powder, you boil the juice and you add the unflavored powder, and it's the exact same amount of time in the refrigerator, and it's a much healthier option. So as far as the clear liquid diet, those would be my recommendations. Make sure that you are well hydrated and that you are eating foods that promote recovery. So we want more of a homemade, whole food, clear liquid diet and not so many products that have all of these ingredients that your body does not need right now, especially if they are artificial sweeteners. You don't want any of that. You want to make sure that you are getting as much nutrition as possible from your foods. So week 2, we start with a whole liquid diet. And here we can, I always like to recommend smoothies. Beginning the second week, because you can combine a lot of different fruits and vegetables when you are making smoothies. And we know that our fruits and vegetables are our main sources of micronutrients, which are vitamins and minerals. And there's this idea that after surgery, all you need is protein, and everybody is just looking for the protein and protein shakes and all this protein craze. But there are a lot of micronutrients that you have to make sure that you do not lose. So it's not just depending on a multivitamin, but also trying to get as much vitamins and minerals from your food, and fruits and vegetables are wonderful for this. So smoothies are a great way of thinking of it, as a part of your multivitamin. So there is a very basic smoothie recipe on the nutritional guidelines that I just gave you. There's also a video on our YouTube channel where I talk specifically about smoothies. I think there's also some recipes on our TikTok. So I do recommend that you play around with fruits, vegetables, flavors, so that you can create really delicious smoothies and, make it part of your multivitamin intake or vitamin and mineral intake. Another recommendation for this second week is yogurt because of the probiotics. So always make sure that you get yogurt that is unflavored, unsweetened, and that the only 2 ingredients that it has are the dairy and the cultures, and always make sure that it says contains live and active cultures. Probiotics are wonderful for after surgery. They promote gut health. Your microbiome changes after your surgery. So it is a good idea to also eat foods that are going to help you with gut health, and yogurt is wonderful for that. Another thing that during this week that you can have are creamy soups that are made from a combination of vegetables and legumes. These also provide a wide variety of vitamins, minerals, and fiber, and prebiotics. So besides your blender, I do recommend that you get a food processor, because food processors have flat blades so they can blend heavier foods. But if you really want to make a good investment, I do recommend a Vitamix or a Ninja or one of those really high-speed blenders. They're pricey, but they are worth every penny, and you will get more nutrition from them just because you can blend everything a lot easier. Anybody here have a Vitamix? No? You have a Vitamix? Do you love it? Yeah, okay. And another thing that is very important that you remember for this stage is your protein supplements. So your protein supplements can either be high protein meal replacements. If you are drinking high protein meal replacements, make sure that they are bariatric brands, or they can be pure protein supplements that can be added to your soups or to your smoothies, okay? So we're gonna talk about those in a little while. Week 3, we start with soft foods, nothing that you have to chew too much. And I like to recommend preparations like hummus that contain a variety of plant foods, because like hummus has chickpeas and tahini, garlic, olive oil, what else? Lemon, and then you can add the roasted vegetables. So you see it has a very wide variety of very nutritious foods that will give you a variety of nutrients. So these are wonderful preparations. But if you just want to have pureed fruits, pureed vegetables, that's perfect. Or soft fruits like papaya, bananas, these are good too. Always make sure that you pay attention to the nutritional density of everything that you're eating, especially during the first stages where you're eating very small amounts of food. You want to make sure that you get a very wide variety of nutrients. And also you can start eating animal foods like fish, eggs, and dairy. These are the animal foods that I recommend the most because they are very soft and they are going to be a lot easier to digest and a lot easier to tolerate. They also have a very wide variety of nutrients. So fish, besides the protein, it also has, well, depending on the type of fish, but these oily fish, they also have omegas. Eggs have all the nutrients that we need in a very small amount, but they are also very, really high nutritional quality foods. And the fourth week, between the fourth and the sixth week, we're going to start with the normal diet. So I like to recommend a whole food plant-based eating pattern. And plant-based does not mean that we're going to eliminate animals. It just means that we will try to incorporate more plants into our eating pattern because plants have a wider variety of nutrients, they have more fiber, and you are going to find it a lot easier to tolerate plant foods during the first few weeks because they're also a lot easier to digest. So fruits and vegetables are our main sources of vitamins and minerals, our micronutrients. So that's going to be easy if you are doing smoothies every morning. So a variety of colors of fruits and vegetables every day is what I recommend. And for your macronutrients, which are your proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, you can also get those from your plant foods through whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds. Whole grains like oats, quinoa, brown rice, these are wonderful sources of carbohydrates, which you do need for energy. They also are really good sources of fiber. And when we combine whole grains with legumes like beans, lentils, chickpeas, peas, you form a complete amino acid profile, which makes it a complete protein. So it is possible to get protein from your plant foods if you are making the correct combinations. And you probably will find it a lot easier to get protein from your plant foods the first few weeks, maybe months after your surgery, just because they're going to be a lot easier to eat in larger portions. So you're probably thinking, oh, I'm going to eat chicken all the time because chicken is really high in protein. And lentils don't have as much protein as chicken, but you're probably only going to be able to eat a few bites of chicken, and you will be able to eat a cup or two of lentils. So in the long run, you're going to get more nutrition from the foods that you can eat more of. Does that make sense? I do hear a lot of recommendations on social media of people that will say, always start eating your beef first, always start eating your chicken first, so that you can get full fast. You do not want to get full fast. You want to make sure that you are eating enough for your body to function properly. This first year, you do not want to make it about teeny tiny portions. You really want to make it about high nutrition. So you will find it a lot easier to get more nutrition from plant foods just because you'll be able to eat them a lot easier. Okay? Does that make sense? And nuts and seeds also, these are wonderful sources of fat. They also make really good snacks. So always make sure that you have all of these in your diet every day if possible. And fish, eggs, and dairy are the animal foods that I recommend for the same reason, because they are soft enough for you to eat in a little bit larger portions. So if we were to put everything that we eat on a plate by the end of the day, this is kind of how it should look like. Half of it, a combination of fruits and vegetables of different colors, and half of it, a combination of whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, fish, eggs, and dairy. And if you really want to have beef or pork or chicken or turkey or all of these animal foods that are probably going to be a little bit tougher to eat in larger portions, that's fine, but eat them for joy, eat them for pleasure, eat them because it's the meal you're sharing with your family. Don't eat them thinking, oh, I'm going to get a lot of protein from them, because you're probably not going to be able to eat a large amount, or the amount that you need that is going to give you the amount of protein that you're thinking. And not just that, when you eat these foods, they sit very heavy in your stomach for a while. So you're not going to be able to eat anything else after that for a while. So it's not just that you're not going to get a lot of nutrition from them, you're probably not going to be able to eat other foods that are going to be very nourishing. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, good. So it's not just about the calories or the small portions. We really want to make sure that we are eating foods that are going to nourish us and help us be strong and help us have a functional life. It's very different to eat 100 calories of Snickers than it is to eat 500 calories of snacks that are actually going to provide some type of benefit for your health. Okay, so always focus on nutrition, focus on health, don't focus on low calorie and on being thin, eating to be thin. Okay. So now we're going to talk about the supplements. It is very important that for the first year at least that you take your supplements very, very, very seriously. The main reason is you are going to be eating very small amounts of food, so you won't be able to get enough. Even if you are eating a wide variety of foods, you will not be able to eat the amount that is going to give you all of the micronutrients that you need. So you do need a multivitamin. Everyone needs a multivitamin. A protein supplement is always recommended too. So those two are recommended for everyone because of the small amounts of foods that you're eating. Another recommendation that we make is vitamin D. And this is because about 90% of patients that get bariatric surgery already have a vitamin D deficiency. And this can get really bad in the post-op if it's not treated. So we recommend those 3 supplements for everyone, okay? And then depending on the type of surgery that you had are the other supplements that we need. If you had a sleeve gastrectomy, the part of your stomach that produces the intrinsic factor that helps absorb the B12 in your small bowel, that part of your stomach was removed. So that means that if you take an oral B12 supplement, it is not going to absorb. Okay, because that part of your stomach that helps absorb it is gone. So you need a B12 supplement that is either a sublingual tablet or sublingual drops. Sublingual means that it dissolves under your tongue, or an intramuscular shot. Okay, and if you have a gastric bypass, the part of your small bowel that absorbs calcium and iron is bypassed, so you are not going to absorb it. You do have to take extra supplements for that. So these are the doses that we need. Vitamin D for everyone, 3,000 units a day. If you have already been diagnosed with a vitamin D deficiency and you're taking higher doses than this, I do recommend that you continue taking them like you normally do. So if you're taking 10,000 units or 50,000 units, continue taking it like you normally do. If you had a sleeve gastrectomy, a B12 supplement can either be sublingual, and if you are doing the sublingual tablets, it's 500 micrograms a day. You can also find the presentation of 5,000 micrograms or 1,000 micrograms. If you already bought those, that's okay. If you bought the 1,000 micrograms, take it every other day. If you bought the 5,000 micrograms, take it once a week. Okay, but basically it's 500 micrograms a day. If you bought the shots, it's 1 shot a month to avoid nutritional deficiencies. If you want to take it once a week for the first month, that's fine. But to avoid nutritional deficiencies, you need to take it once a month. And if you have a gastric bypass, you need to take higher doses of iron. So I do recommend that you get a multivitamin that has added iron, at least 18 milligrams. And you also need to take an extra calcium supplement that is not, you don't take it along with your multivitamin. You take it separately. Make sure that it's calcium citrate, 1,200 milligrams a day, 600 in the morning and 600 in the evening. Now, if you have a sleeve gastrectomy, you are absorbing iron. You do not need to take extra iron supplements unless you have an iron deficiency, okay? Most of these iron supplements, you will find multivitamins that have plus iron. Everything else you should be able to find in a regular multivitamin. Now, there are a lot of bariatric brands that you will find will have really high doses of certain vitamins or minerals. So if you do get a bariatric multivitamin with these really high doses, make sure that you don't take it for more than 1 year if it's not medically supervised. So this first year, it's fine. But after 1 year, you usually start absorbing more from your food and from your supplements, and you're also eating a little bit larger portions. And you can go over on certain nutrients if you are taking these really high doses. So unless it's medically supervised, do not take them for more than 1 year. My recommendation is that you check your levels every 3 months for the first 2 years. The first year, just to make sure that you are not under in any type of nutrient, and the second year to make sure that you don't go over, okay? Any questions about the supplements? Okay, so we do have some supplements here that were designed specifically for patients that have bariatric surgery. These are our EOC supplements, and they are very easy formulas because you'll find they have a kind of an all-in-one presentation. This is a really good formula for the first year after surgery. I recommend that you take it for the first year because it has electrolytes for hydration, so it's really good for the first few weeks post-op. It also has collagen, biotin, resveratrol, hyaluronic acid, which it does help with recovery for the first few weeks after surgery. But it also helps to prevent hair loss, brittle nails, problems with your skin, some of these issues that you can have after surgery. So this is a really good formula. And it also has a standard dose of multivitamins. So it will not interfere with other multivitamins if you're taking them. So this is a wonderful formula for the first year post-op. We also have a high protein meal replacement. This is a bariatric brand. It has 30 grams of protein per serving. And it also has a standard dose of a multivitamin, and it has probiotics and digestive enzymes, which makes it very easy to digest. And it also tastes really good. The sweetness is very low, so it's very tolerable, okay? So this can replace a meal. You probably will find it a lot easier the first few weeks to take meal replacements, and this can be a really good option for that. But we also have a pure whey protein supplement. This will not replace a meal. It's pure whey. It does not have a multivitamin. It's unflavored. It does not have any other nutrients or ingredients but the protein, the whey protein. But this, you can add this to your soups or your smoothies or your pancakes or your oatmeal or to whatever you want to give a little bit more protein to. And this is a very specific strain of probiotics that we recommend because it's been researched for protein absorption. It's called Bacillus coagulans. You will find a lot of different strains of probiotics in the market for different health issues, but this one specifically has been found to help with protein absorption. That is why we recommend it after bariatric surgery. If you go to our EOC website, on the top it says Shop Apples and Pears, and that's going to take you to our store where you will find all of our products. Or you can go directly to eocwl.com, and that's going to take you to our store. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's our YouTube channel. So we do have some resources there. We have some classes. I like to talk about plant-based eating, so you will find a lot of classes where we talk about different plant foods. We're also creating more resources for you. And those are social media where we have some information too. And that's my email address. So if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, you can email me or you can send me a direct message. This is my personal Instagram account, the second one. I'll be able to answer you from there, okay? You won't find a lot of information there. It's just like pictures of my cat and stuff, but these do have some information that you can check out. All right, guys, that's it then. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope this was helpful. Thank you. Thank you.